Hey, I'm good. All the way live.
Me too, man. I'm glad to be here. I shouldn't be here.
You shouldn't?
I shouldn't be here.
What?
But I was getting ready to film some TV stuff back at the end of 2018, going into 2019. I was getting ready to do America's Got Talent.
Oh, shit.
I was filming Phil Medina's Not Your Average comedy show. I was filming a bunch of stuff, right? And so I was out headlining in Ventura for a weekend. Nice. Had the best shows of my life. I was like, yo, I got this on tape. Like, you know how you get pumped, right? You're like, oh, man, I got it. I got it. Like, ah. Right. And funny thing was we went out to eat after the shows, right? And I sat there and we're doing karaoke at this place. And I looked at one of the comedians and I said, if I died tonight, at least I had my best show on tape, right? Like, somebody got to get this out to the public. Like, sell it somewhere, right? Lo and behold, I drive home. This was out in Ventura. I drive home. I'm going south on the 101.
On the 101, yeah.
Right, and you know there's no guardrails.
Right,
it's just cliff. And ocean.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Have your bright lights on.
Right. Yeah. So I'm driving, and I must have been on the interstate maybe 2 minutes, and this guy who was drunk and high as hell hit me going over 95 miles an hour.
What? He was on the same side of the street as you?
No, behind me. Came up behind me and rear-ended me.
What?
Hit me 4 times in a row. He didn't stop. Hit me twice.
What?
My car started going towards the middle
median, the whole median
divider. Yeah,
Whoa.
You know the divider.
Yeah.
And I remember trying to turn because I was like, if I hit this divider, I'm done. Right. So I got my car to turn. When I turned, he hit me a 3rd time. Dang. And then he hit me again as I'm going towards the side with no damn.
At this point, are you like, yo, who is this? Did you not enjoy the show, motherfucker?
I was just trying to get the car in control. You understand? I was trying to get the car in control. So anyways, the car starts spinning. And then thank God where my car stopped. Like I tried to get a hold of it. You know, I tried. And then finally I was just like, I called out to Jesus. I was like, Jesus, please help me.
Wow.
My car stops. I'm facing oncoming traffic and the front of my car is in the lane.
Wow.
Right? Charlie and 2 other comedians that were on the show pulled up, like turned around. They saw it happen. They got off the exit. They came back. Wow. All I remember is seeing, oh crap, I'm facing oncoming traffic.
Right.
Like grabbed my phone and I ran north of my car because I'm like, if something comes and hits my car and I'm in front of it, I'm done.
Right.
Right. And then by the grace of God, like I'm like, there's not a scratch. There's not like what?
You saw the best.
I'm like, Lord, I am so sorry for cursing on stage for the last 45 minutes. Like, I am so sorry.
Wow.
Right. And so that happened, and
you just ran away from that point.
Was
your car okay?
So the guy kept going. He reversed. No, my car was definitely not okay. My car was done. I had a Jeep. It was over. Damn. The guy reverses on the freeway. This dude is high out of his mind, reverses on the freeway and stops across the street. One of the people that had stopped, just a normal person that didn't know me from anybody, had stopped, goes across the street to check on that guy, opens the door, all this smoke comes out. But I'm thinking it's going to be weed. It was like meth.
Oh, shit, I was about to say, that's sativa. Usually don't do it like that. It don't sound like sativa.
I don't know. Nobody that smoke weed, that do crazy shit like that. Nobody.
Damn.
So yeah, anyways, long story short, that's what happened.
Damn.
They ended up having to come, the cops came, they had to like handcuff him to a gurney and get him out of the car, like he was resisting arrest. It was awful.
Damn. Well, today's message, don't smoke meth. Just weed, okay? Don't smoke meth. Just leave it at weed.
Yeah.
Go to indica, switch it to sativa.
Man.
Play with that a little bit.
You know what's crazy is that after that, it was crazy because, so I'm still having to film. Like that following weekend, I'm having to film. I had stuff that whole week. I remember Nyla was my casting director. She was waiting on me to get her tape. And my memory was just done. Like the one thing that did happen is I lost a lot of memory immediately and I hurt my back quite a bit.
Wow.
And I'll never forget, Rodney Perry called me, and Rodney is like my big brother.
Oh, shout out to Rodney.
And I know I love Rodney. He had been dealing with recovering from his stroke, and so he called me and was telling me, drink turmeric tea, like all these tips, like memory exercises to do to help me. And I remember I was recording on stage, and I had note cards on the front of the stage in front. You know how they have the feedback speakers so you can hear yourself. I had them in front so the audience couldn't see them because I couldn't remember my jokes. Wow. And I remember being backstage and Denise Carter and Anna Jean feeding me my material to help me remember because I had to tape.
Wow.
I didn't have a choice. So that was crazy. And then after that, I ended up
you were
on the
filming
road.
a comedy set.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like
yeah, that's a
stand-up
lot of
set.
pressure. That's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, with cards on the floor. I'm like,
Right.
who does this?
Right. Wow. Right.
You know
Give me
what I
just a
mean?
minute, guys. If I could just get my
Right.
cards down. One moment. Can we start? Hold on.
And I'll tell you the crowd. It was at Oxnard
Is it Levity?
Levity
Oh,
Live.
that's a nice room.
favorite
That's
club.
a nice stage.
That's
It's
one of
kind of
my
new,
favorite-
right?
Yeah, it's very new.
Yeah.
And the crowd there, it was packed house. And I remember the host had told them that I was in an accident the weekend before. And so they were so forgiving because there was a moment in my set where I just paused and you could tell that I went down.
Right.
And somebody in the crowd just was like, Amber! And I was just like, what's up?
Well, thank you for saving me, bitch. Wow.
So yeah, I shouldn't be here. But then everything since then, it's just been,
Wow.
I was on the road almost all of 2019, thankfully. And then 2020 happened. And,
Yeah.
You know, we
had all this momentum.
shift.
Right.
We had to shift.
Right.
So
let's go back. You're originally from
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Yeah, born and raised.
Born and raised.
Yeah.
At what point did you bring your ass to LA?
So I grew up in North Carolina.
Okay.
I graduated high school. When I graduated high school, I moved to the Philippines. I
Okay.
deferred college for a year, moved to the Philippines.
Slow down. Wait a minute. We're not just gonna bypass the
We're gonna
Philippines.
just keep going.
Like it's just Philadelphia. You said the Philippines. North Carolina, the Philippines.
Right. So my dad had gotten a job opportunity
Gotcha.
there, and so I said, okay, I'm gonna go see the world.
Nice.
Because I think if I could encourage everybody to do anything, I would
Right.
encourage you to like get out of your house
Right.
and go travel somewhere else.
Right.
Go to a third world country. Go somewhere that has less than you, because that experience really shaped who I am.
Right.
Now, I don't think I had, and I didn't grow up rich by any means or
Sure.
privileged by any means.
Sure.
You know, aside from just the white privilege that I'm born with. You know what I'm saying? But I grew up
Right.
across from a trailer park. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, so that experience was the first time I saw real poverty.
Mm.
And when I tell you real poverty, like children that are malnourished coming up to you begging for money kind of thing.
Wow.
So it's humbling.
Right.
And I think everybody
Needs
should have
to.
that
But
experience.
I think, and you're onto something real deep, because I think that lack of perception from a lot of America
Mm-hmm.
doesn't give us that sense of gratitude that we should have. That's why we're frolicking and finicking and fighting and bickering over bullshit.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. Versus
I also
those
think
cool
it
things.
halts our growth as a country.
Right.
I think it halts our growth as a country. People always ask me, what was that experience like? And it was probably the most amazing time in my life, because
How long were you there, by the way?
6 years on and off. Like, I was there for a full year, and then I went back to school, but I was traveling back and forth.
Gotcha. That was a lot. How old were you?
I turned 18 there,
Okay, so
and
you
I
were
saw
somewhere.
9/11 there also, which was, and I had a boyfriend at the time who was in the Coast Guard and was in one of the buildings that was hit, and so I'm in the Philippines like losing my mind.
Whoa, right. You like, that's my
I'm like, my baby.
Wow.
You know, that was crazy, and talk about terrifying when we had to fly back to the States after that, because here I am in a whole nother country. And I'm like, hey, we got to fly. You know, when you're international, you normally fly into New York or LA.
Right.
Like, you fly into one of those big ports, and,
Right.
and New York had just got targeted.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God. And my grandfather passed just after that, just after 9/11. So we had to fly back. And I remember, like, on my hands and knees praying, don't let my plane be the one that gets hijacked.
Right.
And then I remember me and my dad, like, talking about, this is what we're going to do.
Wow. In case it gets hijacked, he came up with a plan. Shout out to your pops for being ready for whatever.
Right? Like, we were really going to do something. We
Right.
probably both would have just been like,
Right. You're like, what about the plan, Dad?
right. No, it was crazy.
Wow.
So yeah, living there was incredible. I volunteered a lot. I did a lot of work with some orphanages there.
Wow. That's why you're so sweet. Let's see.
It prompted
There we go.
It prompted my nonprofit that I'm working on. So I'm putting together a nonprofit.
That's dope.
To do shows that contribute finances to build schools there, and then they don't even have, a lot of places don't have books or paper or
Resources,
pencils or
yeah.
any resources,
Wow.
right? And our schools, like, they just throw the books away every year.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Computers, like some of these, like
Outdated
Sony,
computers and stuff. Yeah.
not even outdated though. Like Sony studios, like all these studios, not
Right.
just Sony, I'm saying Sony because it's the first one that popped, but all
Sure.
these studios, I think every 3 years they get rid of their laptops. Those computers are still
Right.
great.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I want to get that stuff over there.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So we go Philippines. We go back to USA.
Yeah.
Philippines, back to
Yeah.
USA. You go back to North Carolina and start.
Philippines to North Carolina. So, okay. Grew up in Concord, North Carolina.
Gotcha.
Moved to the Philippines.
Gotcha.
Went back to North Carolina, but went to Boone, North Carolina, which is a small school. We beat Michigan. Just gonna say
Okay.
it. Beat Michigan.
Just had to put that out there. Just had to throw that out there. Okay. Gotcha.
We beat Michigan, and then I transferred schools, but was still going back and forth to the Philippines.
Okay.
So,
Philippines.
and I transferred to Montana. That's where I graduated. My other brother was in Montana, and
Okay,
so I
cool.
wanted to have some family nearby while I was finishing up my last couple of years of school.
Cool.
So went to Montana, and then from Montana went to New York,
Gotcha.
and then from New York came here.
Gotcha. So you went to New York.
Yeah.
Did you know at that point
No.
entertainment, comedy was something that you wanted to pursue?
Entertainment, yes. Comedy, no.
Gotcha.
I worked in television. I was a producer for CSTV. I worked in college sports. I did some on-air talent stuff. I was also
Cool.
still I grew up dancing. I was a dancer. That's all I ever wanted to be. Was a
Okay,
dancer.
then you didn't say nothing, girl. Okay. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Go ahead.
That's all I ever wanted to do. Like
Cool.
at the time when I was growing up, Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
Man, her music
Yeah.
videos, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be her. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
right.
I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
whole. And now they're just video hosts.
Right. It's like you a thought. It's like I'm talented, thought.
Right.
Right.
And I found comedy out here. I'd been here to two and a half years and
Gotcha.
found comedy out here.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
From New York, and then you came to LA, and that's when you started stand up.
Yeah, started
Gotcha.
out here. And I thought I was going to move back to New York. I was like, man, forget LA.
Right. It's hard to give it up though once you get a little taste.
It's hard.
of
It's the weather. I'm
the
telling
weather,
you.
man. It's hard to leave it, man.
It's hard.
I moved from Dallas, Texas to New York.
Yeah.
And there is where, again, just those winters are brutal and the snow's all over
Yeah.
the place and the trains, it was too much. So
Yeah.
after the first year, I was like, I can't stay here. But it's a process in moving, but we finally moved out here too.
New York is cool if you're not from there, because the thing about New York is, well, at least this was my experience. And when I lived there, it's interesting. I felt lonely all the time, but I had a ton of friends.
Right.
And any night of the week that I wanted to go out dancing or whatever, like
Right.
I could go out. You
Right.
know what I mean? And then I moved to LA, and for whatever reason, I felt more comfortable being alone
Yeah.
in LA. And maybe it's just because things are more spread out and
Sure.
whatever the case may be. But now I find myself craving New York. Like I crave. You looking for your water?
Oh, there it
It's
is.
right there.
Yeah. I was like, what in the hell? Did I smoke meth earlier? What is that? This is my water. What's going
You
on?
caught that after effects of the accident.
Right.
Yeah, so I think now I'm like I crave it. I crave
Yeah.
that energy. It's a different energy.
It is.
And the comedy in it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, New York was New York is where I started comedy. I'm glad that I did. There's so many rooms and mics and
Jamie
places you
Roberts
can.
and
Yeah,
Smokey
it's fucking
Suarez.
Smoke
and-
Harlem. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
You
went
gotta
on
be
tour with
ready.
Talent. So
yeah.
he's
Talent.
right
I
out
did his
in
room spot
Rochester.
too. Yeah, he was up near what is it, above Harlem? It's like another going towards Vermont or something like that. But he had a room like upper.
He had a club. I don't know what's going on with it because I don't know what COVID is doing to New York right now. But he has a It's Just Comedy Club.
Dope.
I think it's in Rochester, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But yeah, I love New York.
Yeah.
Every time I go back to New York, it's a different vibe because I
It
feel
is.
like LA is so competitive.
Yeah.
Like the comedians, I feel like you're always, even in a conversation, I feel like it's always somebody trying to one up somebody
Yeah.
and egos
Just
and
Hollywood
cockiness and
bubbles and shit,
Hollywood.
yeah.
Yeah. And I go to New York, and if you're funny, now let me preface it with that. If you suck, you're gonna catch hell.
Right.
But if you're funny,
Right.
they love you.
Right.
And they love on you, and they'll take you everywhere. The first time I went, I met Kelly Kells, and I love her so much because she was like, "Yo, what are you doing next?" I was like, "Going back to the hotel." She's like, "No, you're not. Come on, we're going to Queens. We're going to Brooklyn."
Yeah, you could hit some mics out there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so thanks to her, I was able to kind of see, and then I've just made wonderful friends out there, Brooklyn Mike, and just just amazing people, and they really embrace you.
Yeah.
And I wish that was the culture here in LA because it feels real cliquey.
Yeah, see, I started producing the first couple of months. I started comedy. I started producing shows.
Yeah.
So comics and just the community of putting people on and having more opportunities. It was rolling. But yeah, LA is definitely a place where it's about who you know and what what you've done and kind of these little pockets that you try to have to find access to. But this is the perfect place to work though. With the weather and the environment and the conditions. So.
Yeah.
It's cool.
For sure. There's so many opportunities. And the thing is everybody wants it. Everybody's hungry.
Yeah.
So the great thing about being in LA is that there's always somebody that wants to work
Facts.
You know, there's always somebody that's willing to be like, all right, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you feel like you've built a pretty good community here of like friends and contacts, or have you just kind of got better at kind of taking things for what they are? And
I think I
still
take
being
things for what they are, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, I got.
Yeah, right.
I'm not going to do
Right,
it.
right.
I have a lot. I think that I can safely say I have a lot of good relationships.
Cool.
And cordial relationships and solid relationships.
Right.
Would I say they're my best friend?
Well,
No.
Sure.
No.
Yeah.
And I censor what I say, and I'm careful, and it's professional.
Right.
But I also think, if we're being real, there's a point in your career where that has to take precedence.
Right.
Right? You don't see anybody in the height of their career just not, you know what I mean? Just
Right.
whatever. I mean, maybe with their close circle.
Right.
But generally speaking, so I just try to, I always say that you should treat people the way that you want to be treated at the height of your career.
Right.
Because if you don't treat the person that's at the bottom the way that you want to be treated when you're at the top, you don't know when that person's going to blow.
Facts.
And you don't know when your career is going
man. Hit the can and you back trying to look for an opportunity as well. Because
Right.
this business, one minute can have you here, the next minute you trying to figure it out, and you go up and down, and
Right.
yeah, you're right.
So I always sit back and I pay attention to the egos, and I pay attention to the cockiness and the arrogance. And
yeah,
I'm just like, okay, I see you.
yeah,
I see you for what it is.
Right.
And you keep it pushing. At the end of the day, I'm still a Carolina girl. You know what I
Right,
mean?
that's-
Like, I'm a Southern girl at heart. Like, I'm in a big city, but my heart is still very much where I'm from. And I'm
Right.
still, like, I'm that very generous person. And I try to be,
Right.
at least, and that gets taken advantage of course.
man.
But
Yeah.
I'd rather be that way than be the asshole that I can't stand to be around.
right. It's much
know?
easier to have peace and live with yourself and have integrity than to be conformed and have these other interests. But anyway,
Yeah.
that brings me to my next point. You, like myself,
Yeah.
from the South, I'm from Louisiana.
Hey.
We have good food, good people. You can have friends and people come over, they invite you in, get some food, just that automatic love.
Right. First thing, what you want to drink, what you want to eat.
Right. Sit down. I got you. What
Yeah.
you need.
Yep.
Whatever you need. It was just automatic love. And you also went to New York. You also went to LA.
Yeah.
I've been with my girl for years. We've been married, high school sweethearts. But from what I hear, the LA dating scene is crazy.
Oh, it's awful.
It's wild trying to meet people here. How
It's
do you
awful.
feel being a country girl that's used to?
It's awful.
Right.
It's awful. It's so awful because LA is a city of quantity, not quality. So a man could
Message.
have a man, right? Message, just like
Yeah.
a man could be like, oh, why you? I get this all the time. Why are you single, Amber?
Right.
I am single because where's the commitment?
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Where's the commitment?
Yeah.
I'm 37,
Yeah.
I want family, I want kids, I want marriage. And I think it's hard for many men not to crap on men, but I think it is hard to date a woman that is in entertainment.
It is.
I think
Facts.
it's very difficult, especially stand up, because we're on stage and it's the after the show that a lot of
Right.
guys don't think about. They think it's cool at first,
Right.
and then they come and they see, and it's that one guy that got too drunk at the show and wants to
Right.
give you a hug and say something inappropriate in your
Right.
ear, and he sees it, and then they ready to fight.
Right.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough, but I don't know. I just try to stay focused on, what's in my best interest and move in that direction. I feel like God will put the right person in my path.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Yeah, I mean, I gotta imagine. I know, obviously, I got female comics and friends, and that's the thing. You have to be with someone who's really secure and really
Yes.
confident. Maybe not even in the industry. That's
Yes.
just secure and just likes what you do and is down to support
Right.
you.
They
so.
they have to have their own. They have to have their own thing. Like, I'm a
Right.
really firm believer in that. Like
Right.
the minute a man is like, oh, I thought I'd like to try comedy sometime. I'm like, we can just be friends.
Right,
Oh,
right.
let me come do open mic with you one night. Nah, we good. We
hell
good.
no.
Oh, who you know? Oh, you know this person, you know that person. I'm like, I'm good.
Right.
Even like, cause COVID,
Right.
like trying to do the dating apps or whatever. If they ask me anything about my career, which sounds really messed up, but I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Right.
Good.
You just write them off.
I don't want to talk to you.
In terms of what have you been on, or can I follow you?
Anything about my
kinda thing?
career.
Wow.
Anything about my career. Because on my profile, I'm like, don't ask me.
Right.
Get to know me, I'll naturally tell you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because to me, that's like, oh, you're fishing. You want something from me.
Sure.
You know?
But if they're not in the industry, maybe they're just curious
They
about
always want to
you.
be.
Oh, wait, right. This is LA. This is
They
LA.
always wanna
So you
be.
got to put your North Carolina zip code in and put up the matches over there. You put up some whole new matches. You know what
I
I'm saying?
should do that. I
There
should
you
do
go.
that. What is it called? What is it like the travel? Like when you traveling, you can do like a
Yeah.
travel. I don't know, but yeah, dating is cool. I mean, I've dated. Here's the cool thing about LA.
Yeah.
I'll be real. I'm gonna sound pretentious as hell for a second. I don't mean to though.
Yeah.
But you'll meet people you never thought you would. I've dated NFL players
Wow.
before. I've dated
Wow.
R&B singers. I've dated
Wow.
major producers.
Wow.
Not that I'm like tooting my own
Sure.
horn, but growing up in North Carolina, I never thought I would.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You always
have these types of options and being this
Right,
cool. Yeah.
right. I was
yeah.
like, oh, he's way outside my league, and then you
Right.
find out that you're not so outside their league. That's to stay who you are in
Right.
that, because I know it's easy for people to get caught up in money and all that, and
Definitely.
I don't know. For me, I just want a man that wants me the same way I want him, that wants to build the same way I want to build, that wants a family, that So y'all
There's some
out
dudes
there.
out there listening right now. And she say, what now? She want a man that's going, all right, cool. Niggas for the DM you tonight. So I was
I
listening
know. Watch,
to,
I'm gonna be hitting you up like, yo, Charlie, why you pimping me
right,
out on your show?
right. I be like, yo,
Why did we go there?
they was taking notes. What you want me to do? They was taking notes.
Why?
No.
Why?
But obviously.
There should be a comedian version of Bachelorette, I think.
Oh,
Like the
definitely.
show Bachelorette.
Definitely.
I swear to God, because comedians, most of us are single.
Right,
Most of us. Like
yeah.
some are married.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of us are single. And I feel like that would be the best
That would
TV
be
show.
perfect.
I know.
I would love to see it.
You
just
should be
'cause
the
it's so
host
fun.
of
That
The
would be
Bachelor.
hilarious.
You should be the host of The Bachelorette.
And we can get some candidates for
And I'll be the host for The Bachelor.
Bam!
Right, there we go.
Oh, that'd be dope. I can see that.
I get to filter through and I'll be like, all right, I want him, but she can have the rest.
Now casting, please send your headshots,
Right.
your height,
Right.
as well as your salary. I don't know what our requirements are. We'll fill out. Send that email on to me and we'll see if we can get you qualified on the next episode of The Bachelorette Comedy Edition.
Comedic Bachelorette.
Yeah, that
we
should
have
be
to come up
live.
with a better name, but yeah.
That should be live. Yeah.
I feel like it'd be perfect.
Nah, it would. It would. It would.
good,
So
it'd be
now
good.
we got this fucking pandemic. Obviously, it's threw off the momentum that a lot of us have been building.
Yeah.
How have you been coping? I know for me, like, man, motherfuckers was talking about anxiety before, but damn, 2020, I was like, I feel it. It's on me. There it is.
Yeah.
So the anxiety was there for me. I'm trying to figure out. I got the shit I'm trying to keep together. The rent, we got to pay the rent. They still want the money? Why's my landlord eyeing me? What's going on? It's so much shit that we're trying to digest and work through. How have you been dealing and coping? Are there any habits that you picked up, or is there any?
I'm eating.
Eating, yeah, we eating like
I'm
a
eating.
motherfucker.
I gained that whole COVID-19. You understand? I'm over here like, we
Right.
just covered this up.
Right. Everybody. I know. I got some
Yeah.
cookies in the dress room
Oh,
too, man.
Lord,
I've
have
been
mercy.
snacking like my ass off. Snacking like a mother.
I just, it didn't hit me at first. At first I was like, okay, this is a nice little break. I didn't think it was going to be
Right.
what it was. I
Right.
thought it was going to be a month and then we back to work. You
Right.
know what I mean? But I worked out really hard the first few months, and I lost weight, and I was like, ooh, I'm going to be killing now. I'm going to be bringing it. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then it started to, to keep
To
dragging
go on, right? It's like, damn, August. It's still a lockdown. That's me a
Right.
ranch right there. Let me
right. So, I started thinking about projects, because one piece of advice that somebody gave me, and I'll never forget this. Actually, I was in Philadelphia and I was doing Warm Daddies.
Oh yeah.
With
Touré.
Touré.
Yeah. Shout out to Touré.
And I remember after we did the show, we went over. What is the name of the comedy club? There's a comedy club in Philly. I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
But we went over there. Punchline. Went over there, and Kevin Hart was performing.
Oh snap.
And so we all went backstage, and and I know Kev from out here.
Oh,
So
dope.
this wasn't like the first time that we had met.
Nice.
And I remember Harry was back there, and a bunch of people were back there. Anyways, at the end of the show, Kevin comes backstage, and we're talking, and he takes my phone, puts his number in, and he says, when you get back to LA, I want to have a meeting with you. Let's sit down. Because Touré had just said, like, oh, I blew up the show, like, did well, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, let's meet when you get back to LA.
Bet.
Joey Wells and he's always been in my corner, like, since I first started. And,
Yeah.
Joey is Kev's right-hand man. And so when I got back to LA, I'm geeking. I'm like, yo, this is my break. You know what I mean? So I called Joey and I said, Joey, Kev wants to have a meeting. What do I need to know?
Right.
And Joey goes, well, what you got?
Right.
And I was like, material.
Yeah, right. Like these jokes, what you talking about, right? You ain't hear them, they ain't seen
Right.
them.
This is like 5 years ago, right?
Right.
I was like, I got these jokes. He's like, well, what else you got? I was just like, I mean, I want to do blah, 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 right? Well, have you done it? No, not yet. So I wouldn't take that meeting just yet. So that came back full circle during COVID. I was like, let me take the time that now that I have it, because the years prior I'm on the road. So you think you're going to have the time when you're in the hotel, but you don't. Right. Because when you get back to the hotel, you're reviewing your set from the night before. Right. You're trying to get some kind of sleep because you got to get up at 4 a.m. to do media at 5 a.m. Right. And then you're doing all that in the morning. And then in the afternoon, you probably have lunch with whoever you're on tour with. Right. It's always something, right? So you really don't get as much done as you would think. So I said, okay, let me get this done. So I started finishing up my book. I wanted to write a book about how I grew up. Because it was not roses, and I don't have a relationship with my family, or my parents, I should say. And so I wanted to get into that, and I do get into it with my comedy. So I started doing that. It's with an editor now.
Nice.
So hopefully that'll
Congratulations.
be...
That's awesome. That's beautiful.
Thank you. And then, we all are always writing... I think every comedian is writing TV scripts at some point. So I had a couple of scripts that I wanted to finish, and I did that.
Nice.
And then I launched my show. I had been, for the last couple of years, I grew up in a musical family, and I moved out here with an amazing musician. And kind of my circle, aside from comedy, has always been these amazing, talented musicians. And I always said that's kind of my niche, like my wheelhouse. I know a lot about music, and I also play instruments, and I also sing.
Oh, dope.
And so
if you don't get your talented ass up off the stage, yo, who's next? Let's get your ass out of here, girl.
So, but these are things that I never put on stage with comedy. They were things that I always
separate in itself.
I kept them separate because I was always worried that if I mixed them, I hadn't figured out just yet how to incorporate them. I just in 2019, before 2020, figured out how to start singing on stage in a joke. But that was the first time, and I was so nervous because I'm like, singing on stage is real different than telling a joke.
I heard your joke too, the Erykah Badu, and that's like another track. Yeah, I saw it. That's just funny. It's funny as shit. There was some. Who was the first one you made note about?
Lizzo.
Yeah. That shit slapped. Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah. Oh,
good
thank
shit.
you so much.
Good shit.
I'm so happy you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of, there's so much overlap between the music community and comedy and just other artists in general, photographers. There's so much overlap. Right. But for whatever reason, we never seem to come together on this kind of a platform. Right. And so I said, I want to put together a show. So I did. I finally did it. And now it's Amber Brashear Live. I just had my 4th episode last night with Matt Cuson, who has sang with Stevie Wonder, Christina Aguilera, you named James Taylor. Nice. He just released a new single. So I did an episode with him. I have Hannon Lane, who is Timbaland's right-hand man. He was his protege in the studio. He's writing a song for Missy Elliott and Monica right now. He's coming on the show on the 30th. So I've just been... Let
me get a freestyle or something ready, man. Let me feel like I'm me. Try to...
I just feel like I've been really blessed to get like these people that are really saying like, yo, we believe in you. Because they ain't got to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? For them to come through and be like, yeah, Amber, I'll rock with you. And it's on Zoom. So, it's not like we have a beautiful studio like this. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm doing everything, producing it, directing it, cutting it, editing it, whatever.
Super fire. You go, girl. Well,
trying.
It sounds from what I get from you. First of all, kudos to you.
Thank you
for making the best of everything that's been presented to you. For still having that heart with gratitude in it, trying to make a difference. So, man, I know that nothing but great things are coming for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. Look at all you doing. Every time I look up, you doing something like Charlie Wilson TV.
It's all a work in progress, But I think that's dope, and I can't wait to see what else happens for you. Because, there's so many different things that could really hit for you in terms of your writing, your show or your comedy. So
from your lips to God's ears.
Yeah, so who knows? If it was up to you, where would you like to plug yourself? On a sitcom, or is it touring, or is it, writing?
This is such a hard question because the artistic side of you wants to do everything.
Sure.
People always ask, who's your favorite comedian? And I can never narrow it down to a comedian. Yeah. However, I have a favorite entertainer, and it's Jamie Foxx. It's Jamie Foxx because Jamie Foxx solely has his hand in every aspect of this industry. God. He could do every single thing and have its own, and
singing,
he has.
acting. Me and my daughter love Annie. He did the Annie. It was awesome. Soundtrack, bomb.
He doesn't have to have, like,
Yeah.
he could just sing and have a full-blown career. He
Right.
could just do comedy, have a full, he
Right.
could just act, just direct, just produce,
Right.
everything. And so I've always said I want to have that kind of a career
Sure.
where I can navigate and pivot in that way.
Sure.
But the bigger picture for me is I think that if you're blessed with the ability to use your voice to create change, that you should.
Yeah.
That's why there's certain artists that I really can't get behind because all they're talking about is smoking weed or doing lines of coke or whatever bad bitch they were with.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
And I'm like, you have this huge platform and this is what you're using your voice for. Fine for a few songs, but where's
Right.
the one that gets deep?
Right.
So I really want to,
Message.
you
All right, go ahead.
know, I really want to, you know, the charity work that I want to do. That's the end goal. I want to be successful enough that I don't have to worry about money,
Right.
so that I can put my energy into these other things, and the creative supports it.
For sure.
Because I feel like you have to give back. What is your purpose?
Right.
If you're not doing something positive, that's why I talk about racism. I talk about racial injustice on stage. I put my family business out there, which is so against what you're supposed to do being from the South. You don't air
Right.
your dirty laundry in
Right,
the South.
right, right.
But I air all my laundry because how else do we grow?
How do you feel like the South and home embraces you? Like, do you ever do shows near hometown or go visit hometown? And
I
how you feel like it
I
was
get
received?
love. My
Yeah.
parents are not happy.
Yeah.
My parents feel like I'm a disgrace and that I should be ashamed of myself, and that's okay. They're entitled to their opinion. They feel that way because I'm airing their dirty laundry.
Yeah, right. But I was just
You know?
telling people knew something before, like they're like our story is like our superpower. Like
Yeah.
that's what moves us. Like that's what guides us. That's what led me to become who I am becoming.
Yeah.
That's such a significant part. So
And you have to
it's
draw
huge.
from that. You
Right.
have to, because you know David Arnold, you know, is the reason why I even got involved in comedy.
Wow, shout out to
And,
David Arnold. too.
yeah, just brilliant writer and comedic mind. And he told me when I first started, he said, "Amber, go home and write a biography." He had me write a biography. I came back to him with 11 pages, and I said, "I can give you more." He said, "No, bitch, I just
Wow.
wanted 2 pages."
Shout out to David. David, check your DMs too, man. I think I hollered at David. I hollered at David ass. Yeah, that's what's up.
So you have to draw from, you know, your life and
Right.
you know, your pain
Right.
is really what's funny. And growing up being in the South, you know, my dad threw the N-word around all the time, and he would say things that I didn't understand it, and I would ask him, "Why do you feel that way?" And the ignorance behind this
Yeah.
mentality, he cannot argue a
Right.
good reason of why he feels how he feels.
Right.
And that just tells you a mindset that is
Right.
ingrained. You
Right.
know what I mean? And that I learned at a very young age that this frame of mind is a choice.
Right.
And I don't have to be like that.
Right.
And I never have been.
Right.
And I get a lot of slight. People are like, "You do a lot of black clubs. Why do you always I get that all the time.
Right.
Like Amber's especially when I first started, because I would
From
only
the white
from everybody.
population
white
or
and
black clubs. Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody's
and
curious on what
comedians
you do.
too. No,
Right.
why is Amber here?
Right.
And I always said, when I first started, I primarily did urban clubs. And
Yeah.
the reason I did that was because I said, you know what? I grew up with so much racial crap
Right.
that I hate
Right.
and that I want to see change. And I have this voice, and I have power in my voice, and
Right.
I can connect these people and these
Right.
dots.
Right.
So let me go perform in front of the people that I'm advocating for.
Right.
Because the last thing I want to do is turn a whole group of people against me when I'm trying to rally behind and support and create change.
Right.
And so that's why I did it. And it's also, I think it's strengthened me, because black people will let you know if you're not
If
funny.
you ain't funny, real quick, especially in New York, especially in
Real
Harlem.
quick.
Real quick. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
White
So-
people will politely be, you know what I
Right. Just
mean?
no laughs.
Good job.
Just, right.
Yeah. Have you ever had that moment?
Fuck
where,
out of here. New York, they hit you with that shit. Fuck out of here with the $10 ticket and
Right.
shit.
That's
Right,
New York.
right.
Have you ever had that moment? Have you ever had that moment where you bombed so hard
Yeah.
and you got to stay for the meet and greet, right? And people come up to you and they're like, "It'll get better."
Yeah, you was nice. So they took complimenting somebody else and they're like, "Oh yeah, you was good too." It's like, get the fuck out of here. You just saying that
Right.
from right here in your
One
face.
and only time that ever happened to me, I was in San Diego with Michael Collier, and it was
Oh,
his
yeah.
audience.
I just did his morning show too, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was his audience, and he brought me, I'm just gonna be real. Sorry, Michael. I'm telling it what it was. He brought me on stage. He's like, "I don't really know her. She goes to the same church as me, but you know."
Damn.
And so it's like his whole
Damn.
group, right? So I'm
Right.
like, fuck.
Right.
So I get on stage, I do my time. I'm cool for the first like 10, 15. And I'm
Yeah.
still new at this point. Like I was
Right.
5 years in, but I thought I was the shit.
Right.
Michael was gonna let me know I wasn't shit that night.
Just like
Somebody
that.
in the crowd booed me. I went back and forth with the person. I ended up finishing my set. It was fine. But Michael only heard the boo because he was backstage screwing around doing whatever with the other comedians. So he came out and then just murdered me for 20 minutes. Just did a whole set on how crappy I was.
Damn.
Right? The next comedian comes up. Michael comes out and does a whole nother 20.
Oh, shit.
So I had to sit. So now this has happened now. 3 comedians have gone up. Michael's gone up in between. Now we at meet and greet. I got to stand there.
I'm in the car.
All these, I couldn't do it because
Right.
I had to say, you gotta do
course.
this. This is part of how you grow.
Of course.
I swear, I stood there. I can't tell you how many people walked up to me and said, "It'll get better," and just patted me on the back and just head down, just like,
Right.
it was a tough night. You know,
Right.
I'm like,
Right,
man,
right.
like you know, like you're
We
an
had
audience
fun,
member.
baby. Like your shoes. They giving you
Right.
compliments on other shit.
Right,
Hey,
right.
your
I
hair is
drove
pretty.
2 hours crying all the way back to LA. Oh, it was
Wow.
awful.
Wow, that's dope.
Where you feel like you just get your soul punched.
Right. Them little chins, you get the wind knocked out of you. That's just like
Right.
playing football. You be like,
Right.
all right, let me try to be prepared. Let me try to
Right.
get my shit together, man. But
Right.
that's dope, man.
But I
Well,
love it. You know, it's
Yeah.
it's the love of it, right?
definitely, man.
There's so much reward because it's that one person that comes up to you and says, "I haven't laughed in months because my kid just died
Right.
or somebody got cancer."
Right. We
Or
get those
whatever.
reminders.
Yeah,
of
and
what
then
we're
you're
doing.
just like, "Ah, okay."
Most definitely,
Yeah.
man. Well, I certainly appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
to
Thank
come.
you for having me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So nice to meet you. I'm sure we'll continue to cross paths.
Yes.
Please let the people know where they can follow you. How can they keep up with you?
Yeah.
What else they need to look out for?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate you having me. It's a long
Most
time
def.
in the making because we've been in touch for other projects.
Most
So
def.
you can find me on Instagram at Amber Brashear. It's Brashear. Facebook, same thing at Amber Brashear. And the show Amber Brashear Live is
Yes.
streaming live on YouTube. And then I have Patreon as well, Patreon/Amber Brashear. YouTube is Amber Brashear Comedy.
Got
So if you just
spell Brashear so the people can get.
okay, so think about like
Hey.
bras, right? Like BRA bras and sheer, but not like sheer, but sheer bra. No,
Yeah.
sheer. BRA.
All the dudes at the house like,
SH.
what you saying, bro?
Because I started thinking, I was like, well, if it was SHEER, that would be
Right,
great, but it's
right,
not. So
right.
BRASHEAR.
For shizzle.
Yeah.
Yo, gotta love her, man. Thanks so much. Big shout out to Amber for coming through, man. It's been another amazing episode, Laugh After Dark. I've been your boy, Charlie Wilson. This is Do Tell with Laugh
Hey.
After Dark. We'll see y'all next time, baby. You know how we get it. Thank you so much to everybody that's been liking and sharing and subscribing to the site. Yo, the feedback has been amazing. Comedians, stop hitting me up. I can't get everybody on, baby. Hey, if you haven't already, stop what you're doing and like, subscribe, and share. Hit that little bell right there. It's right there.